I was educated as a mechanical engineer, and I worked for over 35 years in the defense industry. I did aircraft modifications on many platforms.
Welcome to D50 After Dark. I'm your host, Mickey Bennett, and in today's episode, we will be starting off Season 3 of D50 After Dark with a special guest and in a special way. Our guest is past International Director, Monnica Rose. Very excited to talk to her. And we will be observed by our sponsor club, Tech Talk Toastmasters, who will be watching us as we record this episode. So it's a very fun way to start off the third year of D50 After Dark. Stay tuned.
In Toastmasters, my journey started. I had to calculate, and I counted on my fingers as everyone was being introduced in the audience tonight. I've been a member for 19 years. One more year, I get to celebrate 20 years of learning, having fun, and it all started with visiting a Toastmasters club. I visited several times, and no one asked me to join until a friend of mine came from our sister company in New Jersey. I worked for L3 Communications in Greenville, Texas, and when she arrived, she said, "Monnica, you would enjoy Toastmasters." And I said in my head, I was already visiting the club and no one asked me to join. So I gave it one more try, and I'm so glad I did. So fast forward, I've done quite a bit in Toastmasters. There was something called an area governor at the time. So I know that we have Paul in the audience. It was a different name, but when I saw that person come in, I thought that they were just so regal and an official capacity leader in Toastmasters. So that piqued my interest. And so much that I wanted to, by the term the next year was up, I wanted to be an assistant area director. I didn't want the full job, but I just wanted to get a glimpse of what that was. I did that role and I enjoyed it. And then the next year I was appointed an area director or area governor at the time. And as far as my leadership journey, the rest is history. But when I joined, I had no idea that there was a leadership component. I only wanted to improve my communication skills because if you know engineers think in processes and flow charts, and my thoughts were everywhere. They were all over the place. But with that program, at the time, we did the Competent Communicator Manual, and I know Helen knows what that is. We did that manual and the Competent Leader Manual. And it was a way to help me improve my communication skill. And then the learning and the fun, once I joined into the leadership capacity, that's where things really work together to help me see a big picture of the program and the organization and the whole focus of why we are here in Toastmasters. So I'm just delighted to be able to talk on that and have that history of experiences in my Toastmasters journey.
Yeah, one of the pieces of your story that really strikes me is that you attended several Toastmasters meetings and nobody asked you to join. Finally, somebody did ask you to join later on, and look what's come of it. Almost 20 years, and you've contributed so much to the Toastmasters community. So I guess it's a lesson to all of us. Invite people to come and invite them to join as a member, because you never know what they're ultimately going to contribute to you and everybody else in the Toastmasters community.
Absolutely. If I can add a little bit more to that, her name is Cheryl
Sure.
White. And every time I do something that I get a different experience on, we stay connected. When I got appointed as a region advisor, I said, "Girl, guess what I'm doing?" When I told her this position, she's like, "Whoa." It was an excitement to her for her to see that she was the catalyst. And when I did my background, my biography of Toastmasters, I put on there that I am so glad, and I just called her a friend. I didn't give her name because that was a very public facing type of announcement. I just said, I'm glad my friend invited me to Toastmasters. And so I've kept her along with my role as an international director. Each step of the way, she's been so grateful. And I have been more grateful that she asked me to join or invited me to a meeting.
Now you mentioned, I think some of our listeners that were familiar with how the district leadership works. We have the area directors and division directors, and then the senior three director roles. A lot of them may not know about the regional advisor and the international director roles, which you have served in both of those. Could you just tell us a little bit about what that means?
Okay, thank you, Mickey, for that question. Serving as a member of the trio in District 50 gives you the components of running a district. One is club growth, and then program quality is on the educational realm. And when you're a district director, then you're basically managing a small business, a small nonprofit business. So you learn those skills. And in that capacity, you know and understand what happens in District 50. As a regional leader, the region leader goes in to support all districts in the region because they have sat in at least two of those roles on the district level. And as the region advisor, you're advising districts on how to be a better club growth director or what are helping them solve the challenges of what the club growth director goes through. The region advisor goes through and supports each one of those communities of leaders by giving certain resources or having peer calls is what we call them, so that everyone can learn and grow together. During that time, the districts that I was involved with, definitely our local Texan District 56 was one of those districts, but there were districts in Kansas and Arkansas, Oklahoma. So all of the leaders more in the middle section of the United States got a chance to work together and learn best practices. And that's what I facilitated. So if a program quality director had a question and someone else has already solved it during our peer calls, they were able to collaborate together and build relationships. Just as in the last office, district director, some of the challenges of team building and getting communication problems or challenges solved, I was there as a resource. I didn't step in. I didn't take over any of their business. I facilitated the conversations. And where I needed to insert myself, I saw the opportunity. And when asked, I would give my opinion. But I was there to help facilitate those conversations. Best practices, things that could improve to overcome any challenges that the district leaders had. That's what the region advisor role was. More on the operational side is what we did. Now, international director, that was the strategic arm that I have had the experience in. I brought in different skills, but more so the strategic hat of how we looked to the future to bring a better Toastmaster experience and to give us as an organization a better opportunity to overcome challenges through strategic thinking, such as what's going to happen in the next 5 or 10 years. We were more thought leaders in moving the organization forward.
Yeah, very cool. So like the region advisor really is like the word advisor in that title really fits because you're really there to advise the district leadership in each of the districts you support. If I could draw a crude analogy, it's kind of like the district director is like a club president and you're the area director coming in not to tell them what to do, but to help them be successful through sharing your experience.
Absolutely. We called it the area director on steroids.
That's fitting. That's fitting. All right. Well, so you've done all those things and many more. What are you up to today?
I am serving as a club vice president education. I get a chance to go back and meet my friends at the club level. I still support there. I'm also mentoring leaders around the world. I mentored a district director in California. I've also mentored two members who wanted to be a region advisor. And we went through About 2 or 3 months of discussions. And I want to say both of those leaders have been successful. So I shared some good practices with them. And then I'm also, right now, I'm on a committee at the international level. So you'll see me at the annual business meeting in Philadelphia with Toastmasters.
Very cool. Very cool. And you also have a role with the District 50.
I do. I do.
Yeah, you are the district historian. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And we're going to have a whole conversation about that role here in a little bit. But you are up to a lot. You've contributed so much already, and it doesn't stop.
Yeah. I don't know if it's my type A personality or the lifelong learner in me. I just love learning and growing. And every time I say yes, this gives me an opportunity to learn something new, to meet a new team player, and to just continue to enjoy all of what the Toastmasters program has.
Now, you may have already mentioned this, but just to make sure we have a little bit more complete picture of who you are, what did you do professionally?
I was educated as a mechanical engineer, and I worked for over 35 years in the defense industry. I did aircraft modifications on many platforms, the B 2 bomber, the B 1 bomber. I've worked on propeller P 2 aircraft or P 3 aircraft. And my last job was with L3 Communications. I worked on the reconnaissance airplanes, RC-135s, to install anything from the nose of the aircraft to the tail. So I know inside, outside, antennas. And it's really weird that the mechanical person in me, I sometimes enjoy flying on an airplane, but I know all of the things that go along with that. So it's just a little weird sometimes knowing if a so we were at the gate one time and they needed to change something, and somebody said something about why are they doing it now? I said, you want them to do that. So it's almost a blessing and a curse. But I've worked as an engineer for many years. Now happily retired for 4 years now.
4 years. That is pretty impressive. That among all the other things you've done as a leader, that you also have a very accomplished career as an engineer. And when you're working on these planes, I imagine you're one of 100 engineers, right? Like I imagine there's a whole team and everybody specializes in different aspects of the engineering. Did you have a specific type of part that you specialized in?
Yes, we did. I did ground support, and then we were the mechanical team that really worked in on all the mechanical installations. But there were many parts involved because throughout everything that we did, the team was basically the whole engineering group of mechanical, electrical, the um, the installation team, the program office. So we did anything from program communication with the customer during bids to make sure that we get enough funds to install the equipment that we needed to and do it right the first time. So we were always in meetings. And I want to say that my experience as an engineer working with teams was really it was so profound that Toastmasters was integral in my success, being able to do presentations and knowing and understanding what the customer needs were and to answer those questions ahead of time, giving them a full rounded experience. I could not have been as successful as I was without Toastmasters. So I attribute a lot of my success in communication and understanding the needs of a team to the organization because we have those programs and opportunities.
Yeah, sometimes people may think of an engineer, like a mechanical engineer, as being someone who's not as focused on people skills, but and as we often point out in Toastmasters, even highly technical fields like software engineering and mechanical engineering, these people spend a surprising amount of their time, maybe even a majority of their time, communicating with others about their projects rather than actually doing the technical stuff.
Well, that also, but I want to say I'm atypical. I'm an atypical engineer because it does take a bit to come out of your shell and to be able to walk into a room and feel comfortable. Now, giving my druthers, I'd rather just sit and be in my corner and I'm just as happy. But I know that as long as we have something in common to talk about in Toastmasters, that gave me that level of comfort. So I can come out and be the creative side that I want to be, but yet really some of the things that really come and I sit down a little bit with, give more time to, are those things that let my mind work. And I'm so analytical that I want to make sure that I have all of the pieces and I want to be as best as I can be when I present myself. So I do have to meter that a little bit, miter, if that's the right word, but just to know it's an amazing thing when you can do that. Now, you're right. Engineers really like to stay to themselves, but I like to have fun. So there's other things that I do in my spare time that gives my brain a moment to take a break. I enjoy scuba diving and just lots of fun sports. I'm doing distance runs, 5Ks, 10Ks. I used to do half marathons, but maybe that's just the adventurous side of me.
Wow, you continue to impress me, Monica. You also scuba dive and run 5Ks and half marathons. Is there anything you don't do?
No, I have the problem. I can't sit still.
Well, one more thing as we cap off this episode on just getting to know you. You had mentioned that you had an interesting story to tell us about your first evaluation in Toastmasters.
Oh,
Share that story with us.
thank you. Thank you for bringing that back up. During my, I guess the first couple of meetings that I was in the club that I joined, it was a corporate club. And we were working in the Competent Communicator Manual. So one of my projects, I can't remember which one it was exactly, but the evaluation I got back was from someone who took the time to write it in an email. I think by the time I printed off the document, it was 2 full pages of comments. And it was in a font that was not familiar. It was in color and italics. For my mechanical brain, I needed to make the letters stand up and I had to make them all black. But when I did, it was the person took very meticulous thoughts and shared those with me. And it was something I still have that evaluation today. Because I'm open-minded and I'm a growth mindset, anyone other than me would have taken that evaluation and may not have returned back to the meeting. But because I wanted to learn and grow and be my very best, that was something that I took to heart and tried to fulfill that. So what it taught me in this experience was to come prepared. I didn't know any better. I'm still learning and growing, but to come prepared and to be my very best. Look at my project goals in giving my speeches and practice with a friend before I present myself to the club. That evaluation stayed in my mind and it always taught me those lessons there. Now, the person that gave it to me, we're still a friend. We hug, we tell each other happy birthday or, any celebration time we share together because she was that close of a friend. It was amazing. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a great story. I think many of us have a similar story about our first evaluation, whether receiving or giving an evaluation. I remember my first evaluation I was giving to one of the more senior members of my club, and I was intimidated. And he told me, like, hey, even the best of us need advice from anybody, and you're qualified as an audience member to tell me what you think. So let me know what you think. And that, it gave me permission to give my advice, whether it was good or not. I gave it a shot. So I think, those early evaluation stories are so fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And Monica, I think that wraps it up for this conversation. And just for our listeners, a little sneak peek of what we'll be doing in our coming conversations with Monica. We're going to talk about her role as D50 historian. We're going to talk about corporate clubs, and we're going to talk about one of her topics of interest, which is emotional intelligence and how it helps with leadership development. So we're going to have some really great conversations with Monica in the coming episodes. And I'm so glad you joined us today, Monica.
I'm glad I did as well. Thank you for the questions and the opportunity to reflect back on my Toastmaster journey.